Recently came back from Mexico City, and I was there when the protests against gentrification in the city were taking place. As a Mexican citizen and someone who travels to Mexico every 2 to 3 months frequently, this was really disheartening to see. I was at a restaurant in the Condesa area, and I literally heard a man demand the waitress she speak in English because he couldn't talk in Spanish. This was really off-putting to see because, first of all, you're traveling in a different country that speaks a different language. How come you're not learning the language of the country that you are traveling to? Also, the locals are growing impatient. Rents have skyrocketed, and the locals can barely afford to live, to eat, especially when they are earning Mexican pesos. I think it's important for digital nomads and people that are looking to immigrate to Mexico to realize that you are part of the gentrification and you are part of the problem. And once you accept that you are part of the problem, you can discuss in ways that you can improve the situation.
Gentrification is colonization. Let's talk about it. Recently, there's been protests in Mexico City because of the amount of people from America that have brought over their money and started their own businesses, gentrifying, making everything more expensive in parts of Mexico. Now, of course, there's some people in the comments, like Americans, being like, oh yeah, I guess they also hate when immigrants come here and take their homes and jobs. That's not what gentrification is, Ted. Gentrification is when you bring money from your country into a different country, you raise up the prices of everything because you're buying top-notch houses, you're building businesses, you're trying to basically push people that have lived in that area out of there because you're making everything too fucking expensive. And at the same time, you're going around complaining about the locals and the culture, people being up too late, making noise near your new condo that you bought in your retirement in Mexico. And I think we're going to see more of this. We're going to see more people in Mexico fighting back, pushing back against people in America, whether they're well-intended or not, coming in and doing so. Because if you're going to go into another country, as you guys like to say, you got to assimilate, you got to learn the culture. But for some reason, Americans think that they're the exception. They could go to these places, make their own areas, and that's fine and that's normal. But if hardworking immigrants want to come to America, build jobs, do their own thing, just be a part of their own communities, literally away from you, then they're an issue. But Janice and her husband can come and move somewhere to Mexico because it's so cheap for retirement and then complain that the restaurant near them that's been there for 3 generations is too loud at night and try to get them shut down. That's gentrification. Now, if Janice and her husband moved there and they understood that things have been around and people have been around there longer than they have, that's not a problem. But Janice and her husband going and try to lease everywhere, build these businesses, not include the actual local community and people, that's not good. Gentrification.
Mexicans have had enough. They have had enough. They want nothing to do with Americans or digital nomads. If you are not Mexican, you are not welcome here. Now, this gentrification discussion has been going on for a while because we also have to understand it from the point of view of the locals. Now, a lot of the Mexicans in Mexico City are saying that when Americans go there, they do not integrate into the local community. They refuse to learn the language. And I'm not going to lie to you. I've traveled to different countries and I've met Americans who were angry that the locals could not speak English. Why are you there in other people's countries if you are going to demand that other people be able to speak English? It's things like that. Not only, not integrating into society, but things like the price of food, the price of rent goes up. When you are teaching, as you guys know, I'm an international teacher, and there's a common joke within the international space, and that is, if it's a place that Americans love, do not go there. Within the international teaching community, if you are looking for a job in another country, there's a joke that says, if Americans love that place, do not go there, because certain things like this happen. Now let's take a look at some more videos.
Let's talk about the protests happening in Mexico City. Locals are telling foreigners to pay taxes, learn Spanish, and respect the culture. And now people are saying, but if Americans said that to immigrants, everyone would be upset. But let's talk about why that comparison doesn't hold up. It is not the same thing at all. When immigrants like me come to the United States, we don't come to the United States just to buy off property and live off passive income. We come to work. We do the jobs nobody wants. We pay taxes whether we have papers or not. We build things. We respect the country. We contribute. Now compare that to what's happening in Mexico. The tourists or digital nomads, people that work remotely to escape high rents in the States, they are not there to integrate into the community. They live in Mexico, but they still work for U.S. companies getting paid U.S. dollars. They're not paying Mexican taxes. They're not part of the Mexican labor force. Overall, they're just not helping the Mexican economy. If anything, they are draining it. And the worst part is they tell us when we come over here to the United States to learn the language. They go over there, they don't learn the language. They treat the place like a fucking trend. And what ends up happening? They buy up all this property, increasing the value of property for people that have been there, living there, making it unaffordable for the locals in the country. And that's why people are protesting. They don't fucking hate foreigners. They hate the fact of what foreigners are doing, gentrifying the whole place. Everything, the rent's gone up, $2,000 and up. Everything being listed on Airbnb now. So don't say it's the same, because when we come over here, we're not fucking welcomed while contributing so much to the country, and we still get blamed for everything. While tourists that go to all these other countries like Mexico and my country of El Salvador, they get all the perks, while the locals pay the price.
Now y'all can keep on playing with them motherfucking Mexicans if y'all want to, but they not going. Y'all thought y'all was finna just go over to Mexico, colonize, gentrify like y'all did America. But they not having it. The Mexicans is not playing with y'all. They over there fucking y'all areas up. No nomads. None of that digital nomad shit. And my people need to take notes. You see how these Mexicans is standing together against these folks? Against the principalities and the powers that be. They standing against it. They said, y'all not gonna do shit? Don't worry, this our shit. And we gonna do it. We not gonna let y'all get the prices hiked up. And now the economy just all the way up here when the cost of living was just down here. Take notes, people. The Mexicans is not playing. Y'all thought y'all was finna just come over there like y'all done came over to every other territory on the planet and just took over.
Let's not forget the concerns of Americans, because there are two sides to each story. Now, we know that Americans are justified in some of their concerns when it comes to the Mexican Latino communities that are in America. We're not going to turn a blind eye. We've seen thousands of stories of Mexicans, Latinos that are in America. Now, this is not all of them, but we've seen a lot of crime coming from these communities. Okay, it's not to say that Mexicans are innocent, and it's not to say that the concerns of the American people are not justified. Pick a side. Just pick a side.
Mexicans over there in Mexico City right now are asking some serious questions, and I don't blame them. They're asking some serious questions like, why is it that since so many people are moving in to Mexico City and other cities, of course, within the last 4 years, rent have gone up for the locals like nearly 50%. They're asking some questions like, why is it that so much of their local resources are being diverted to people who are coming in from primarily the United States, and locals are not benefiting as much? And I think that's some valid questions to ask. I don't blame them. Ask the questions. Protest if you have to. Do what you have to. That's your space. You have existed there for millennia. Like, ask some valid questions.
This protest happened on 4th of July in Mexico City, Mexico. Mexican locals protesting gentrification, or in my words, protesting colonization. And I love that they did this on 4th of July. And in the video, you can hear protesters saying, "Fuera gringo," which means get out. And gringo means someone who is from the United States. They are also chanting, Mi casa no es su casa, which means my house is not your house. Gringos are moving to Mexico while holding a remote United States job. And they're enjoying the cheaper cost of living because obviously they're making money in dollars and spending it in pesos. These colonizers are spiking up the rent where locals are not able to afford housing. In the last 5 years, rent has spiked up by 47%. There was a protester that said that if they are going to live, the Gringos, if they are going to live in this country, they need to contribute to this country. And that is so true, because here in the United States, immigrants pay taxes. They contribute to this country. They pay over $100 billion in taxes. The Gringos in Mexico are not paying taxes. They make American dollars, US dollars, so they pay taxes to the US, not Mexico. Immigration policies in other countries for US citizens are lenient to non-existent.